Oh, look, live button. Welcome to ISTR's podcast, episode number 2. Welcome intro. Watch as I read. Thank you everybody for joining us. If they missed episode 1, you guys can catch it on YouTube on the first one. Today, we're going to give a quick overview of ISTR. Then we're going to jump into first mods, answer some questions that are off of Facebook. Anybody that wants to join in for chat, you can join us. We're just a couple guys sitting around, smoke a cigar, drink a beer, talking SyTys. And then give us a quick overview, Morgan.
All right, overview. For those that may be tuning in for the first time, ISTR, short for International Syclone Typhoon Registry. We are an organization that is focused on the accurate history, preservation, technical information, data collection of the 1991 to 93 Syclone, Typhoon, and Sonoma GT, also known as the sport machine trucks. ISTR will offer an exclusive online source of news, data that is regularly updated with new information, latest events by our forum and website, social media.
You can see what he's reading in his eyeballs.
ISTR is dedicated to the exchange of related information, parts, ideas, mutual interests to ownership and enthusiasts of Sonoma GT, Syclone, and Typhoon trucks. Obviously, as Dennis mentioned earlier, our topic tonight is going to be first mods and sometimes which ones were best bang for your buck, whether they happen to be the first mods or not. And we'll go over some of our stories and then go reference some of the things back that we got off of Facebook from some of you that chimed in as far as what some of your best mods were and first mods and things like that. We got any takers on who would like to go first on their first mods or best mods, however you'd like to tackle that topic?
My first mod was buying the son of a bitch.
So after you bought it, then what did you do?
I broke it. And then I put on jack stands. Then I put a fuel pressure regulator in it.
So you broke it before you did any mods?
You damn skiffy, I did.
In all fairness, so did I.
Drove it home and broke down on the way. Hell yes.
Why does this sound surprising to you, Tom? This is like SyTy ownership 101.
No, I'm just trying to feed it. Yeah, you're well, you know what? You know why it's surprising to me? Because that's not how mine went. So
okay. I mean,
knowing Harmon, no, I'm not surprised.
Hey, listen, I could fix anything with duct tape and some
I didn't say you couldn't. I'm just not surprised it broke.
But I made it home in first gear at 30 mile an hour for 200 miles. It's all good.
And you still own them, even after that being your first experience.
What a fucking retard I am.
Amazing.
I know.
Amazing.
So what was your best mod or best bang for your buck mod, or the one that you installed or did and was like, damn, that made a huge difference?
Freaking after 10 700 R4s. 4L fucking motherfucking 80 best mod ever. Because I got in that bitch, turned her up, freaking drove the piss out of that transmission. I probably made like 20 10-second passes on it, beat the living shit out of it, and it's still good, isn't it?
I think Jeremy Duncan would probably agree with you on the 4L80E mod.
Yeah. Well, actually, my last 700 that I had in the Syclone, I unloaded off the trailer, Hood jumped in the truck with me, and I boost launched that bitch in the parking lot at the shindig. And all I heard was, holy shit. Oh. Yep, that's it.
Then we walked back.
Walked back in the trailer. Then I couldn't get out of the trailer because the transmission locked up. It was good times.
And then 2 days later, my transmission blew up.
On the side of the road.
Was that your sweet Roadmaster?
No, that was local builder.
Earl.
Earl, yeah.
Earl.
Jeez, Earl.
Earl the Pearl. We broke down next to the homeless guy in the woods and we fed him hamburgers.
We
Yeah.
did. We did. We had like probably 25 or 30 leftover hamburgers from the track, and I went into his tent and left them out for him.
Such a good guy.
What a guy.
He is such a good guy. The guy even looked like Jesus, long hair and all. Cruising down the street. We got pictures of it somewhere.
He had a cell phone, which I found to be confusing. You remember that? Because we were like, who's paying for that account? Like,
That was pre-Obama too, wasn't it?
yeah.
That's
That
when
was Obama phone.
we had really good internet service right there at that place too, for some reason.
Yeah, shitty service everywhere else except for that little spot on the side of the road. That's all right. Your buddy Sean was there to help you. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he wanted to buy my truck on the spot.
You should have sold it, dumbass.
You're right.
Morgan, you going next?
I was going to see who else wanted to go next.
Let's say Adam go next.
I'll go. Let's see. I think I've been thinking about this. I've been trying to figure out what was really honestly my first mod.
Do first three. What are the first three mods you did?
Well, I think so the first one that really stands out for me was the Adco rear sway bar.
I'm going to interrupt you, and we
Okay.
probably should have done this with Harmon. First three mods, even if you broke it,
Oh,
the best one for bang for your buck. And now, let's say with all the info and knowledge that we have now, 20 years later, if you were to enter the SyTy market, what would be the first thing you do now, knowing what you know now versus then?
hotwire the pump.
LS swap.
Oh, that's-
One at a time. That way we kind of cover all the bases. What did we do when we were dumbasses 20 years ago with the trucks? But like if you bought a new one right now, knowing what we know, what would you do? Because it might help out some of the new guys to the scene with the new trucks and about what they should be looking at. So
Well, okay, so I think I want to say let's go for top three. So
first three.
I did sway bar, fuel pump, and then I'm gonna kind of mishmash the last one. I did a intercooler, pump, hot wire, ignition, fuel pressure regulator, all that. I did like the upgraded routine stuff for daily drivability. I kind of mashed that into one mod because it's not really, just one single. But overall, doing an Adco rear sway bar for me probably was almost like the best $110 I ever spent on the truck because it was instantaneous. You put it in, and automatically the truck's handling was like a million times better than stock. So that was the one for me that was like, oh my God, like this is the first thing I'm really seriously bolting onto my truck. I mean, the Warble I did early on just because it was known even back in the early days that the fuel pumps were, shitty for what the trucks were and what the trucks needed. So, that was definitely one of the first things to go. And I did it old school where I actually dropped the tank out and went from the bottom, and I didn't do it all fancy and lift up the bed like a lot of people do. The intercooler pump stuff, I mean, that was like SyTy 101. That was like the what do you do when you first buy a truck to make it go fast, and here's some 3D mods to, hotwire the intercooler pump, make that thing run a lot cooler, and then obviously all the ignition, wires, cap, rotor, plugs, all that kind of good stuff. Sorry, I had to pause there for Harmon. And then, the usual crap with like fuel pressure regulator and all that, just so I can maintain, good fueling while I get into boosting and all that. So, I mean, I went the simplistic route with my mods, starting out and, getting into it. So, but yeah, I think best mod for the money, rear sway bar, man. Even today, you can't You can't beat it. I mean, if you want a little bit better handling, sway bars are way to go, and that's for Cyclones or Typhoons. That's of course if you want to stay budget. I mean, if you want to be a baller and buy 4 links and 3 links and coilovers and all that, I mean, yeah, go for it. But the guys get into it that want something that's like cheap, easy to do.
We didn't have that option 16 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there was no coilover setups or anything like that, that long ago. I mean, that was unheard of.
So knowing what you know now, if you were a noob and you were to buy a truck, what's the first thing you would do now?
Sell it and buy a Corvette.
That's not helping the cause for this podcast. Edit.
I would still do like.
How many miles is on it?
Yeah. No, you know what? It's the same thing that
100,000 mile truck.
I don't.
Would do.
In general, like what do you think that's out there right now that you're like, hey, if I had a bone stock truck, I just bought a truck, what would you do to it first? Like what makes like what best
I would change the distributor out.
The actual full distributor.
The whole freaking thing.
That makes sense. I mean, for me, it's ingrained, the easy stuff. Vacuum lines, ignition, fueling. I mean, that's like.
Well, I guess maybe we should clarify. Let's say that we got our basic maintenance, which I think we all agree they are maintenance whores, and I think people
the first big thing you would purchase.
Yeah, first mod, like actual mod that you would purchase that would be the most beneficial. You think?
If I was to buy the first most expensive mod, I would definitely go Holly Dominator.
First mod, right out of the gate.
Why not?
All right, it doesn't have to be expensive. I'm just saying, like knowing what you know now, what would you do? Like you bought a stock truck, what do you do first?
Order a turbo tweak, slap it in, call it a day.
I would agree with you on that one.
I would say turbo tweak, 20G, and being budget minded, L35s.
All right.
Whistling for an hour. Still makes me giggle.
So, all right, Hood.
Well, we got Adam's most favorite mod. Come on, man. Open downpipe. Duh.
Oh, yeah. I don't have open downpipes. I mean, I thought that was a given.
My first 3, my truck was kind of like a ATR. The guy that had my truck before me pretty well opened the catalog and just bought a bunch of stuff. So when I got it already had a big turbo, the ATR front mount intercooler, the big upper intercooler, transcooler, ATR chip. It had some upgraded injector. I can't remember what it was. They may have been blue tops or something. But
did you have the 7th injector?
Do what?
Did you have the 7th injector?
No, it didn't have a 7th injector.
Oh man.
Yeah, no, we did buy a truck later on that did.
People are like, "What the hell is a 7th injector?"
Yeah, before you realize the manifold flows fuel like shit. So, let's see. The first things I did were gauges. That's the first thing I did. It didn't have any gauges in it, and I put a boost and trans temp gauge in it. It had a really small transcooler on it, so I did a B&M. I forget what the rating was on it, but the big B&M transcooler. And then I did tires. Those were the first 3 things I did.
Did you use a radiator out of a house?
Yeah. What were the other questions? What was my favorite thing I did through the whole ownership?
Yeah.
Was probably it's obvious, but it was big turbo. It made noise. I felt it more than anything. So yeah, probably. I mean, it's a 60-1. I just enjoyed the sound. I didn't give a shit if I went 10s. I just like to make a bunch of noise. So that was probably my favorite mod. Tuning is probably the most rewarding one, but for a single modification, it was probably a turbo. And then if I had it to do all over again, the way that I want to use the truck, it would probably be tires because I'd want to autocross it. And as far as, impact, it's hard to beat tires for handling. So I know that's a shitty answer, but that's probably the one I would personally go for. But if we're talking about a generic owner, probably turbo tweak, man. I mean, nothing else is going to get you kind of seat of the pants all around, mileage, reliability, that kind of thing, or whatever your flavor of chip is. But turbo tweak probably the way to go.
Cool. So Morgan, me or you?
Well, I'd actually thought about it a little bit, obviously for the upcoming podcast here. And I don't remember what my first 3 were, but I distinctly remember what my first 2 mods were. And they were out of necessity more than, hey, I want to do this. I bought the truck in June of 2000, and it was pretty much my daily driver from that point on. I even had it out at college. And at some point that December, started getting some fuel pump signs of bad fuel pump going on, and ended up limping it home. I had to keep the tank like basically 3/4 or above, otherwise it would start sputtering out and all that stuff. And limped it home, parked it, and ordered a Walbro from I guess it's what, APE down in Texas. At the time, they were the go-to guys for
Ron
fuel pumps and stuff. I know they're still, Ron Gregory. I know he's still selling them, slinging them out there.
He called me last week, believe it or not.
I can believe it. I've ordered more than one from him over the years. But so I ordered that, and I don't remember where I ordered a fuel pressure regulator from, but I got the Ken Bell blue famous fuel pressure regulator at the same time. And I guess a week or so later, I ended up throwing those on in my parents' garage in the middle of December. I think it was a day or two after Christmas, and freezing my ass off. Had the nose of the truck sticking out the door because it wasn't big enough to fit the whole thing in there and actually work on it. Had cardboard underneath it and on the sides trying to block the wind, and did a fuel pump. And then after that was done, we lowered it down, drove it for a couple days. We had a snowstorm a couple days after that, and blew my first trans. Smoked a 3/4 clutch pack out having fun in the snow, and
blew a trans.
Yeah.
Where'd you meet her?
Your dad.
Bill Cosby and Bill Clinton had a party.
This one time in college.
Yeah, this one time at band camp. So 3/4 clutch pack was smoked, so I got crash course in how much transmissions cost to rebuild. At the time, I wasn't confident or set up to try and rebuild my own, so it's at the mercy who was around. And still remember the bill. It was $2,251.25, including converter. It was still a big 12-inch, but it was a higher stall, and it worked pretty well. That got through.
Just my converter.
Unfortunately, the 480 thing didn't exist back then, so I've gone through in various stages. I haven't fully killed any of them to mass destruction, but I've broken bits and pieces here and there. I think I've been through 5 700 R4s, and I've been on 6 different converters from a span of 6 years. And,
okay, let me interrupt real quick.
Yep.
So you've been on 5 transmissions. Harmon, how many have you done? 10? Hood, how many have you gone through? 1? That's it?
That's because he's only put 15 miles on it the last 20 years.
That's exactly that.
Me?
Yeah.
Ones that I broke, or the ones I fixed for
Ones that you've broken. Wow. That's amazing. I think I'm on 5 or 6.
Drive like grandma. He does. He drives like grandpa. He's like,
I broke one driving like grandma. I was just driving. I took off from a traffic light. It was rainy out, and my rear tire spun on the white paint as I was taking off from a light. Wasn't even hard on it, and tire slipped and then grabbed, and friggin', I think I flipped a sprag, or I don't remember what. Yeah, I think that was what happened that time, because I got almost all the way home. I got stuck at one traffic light and then lost all forward gears. I ended up having to drive the rest of the mile back home in reverse.
My first one, I pulled out of a parking lot. I put it in gear. I literally feathered into it just to move. My sprag exploded. I had second gear, and I limped at home, and I did major damage. That was my first one exploded. That was my stock one.
So,
anyways, go ahead. Sorry, I just wanted to interrupt and ask that.
no, that's all good. But like I said, the ADE thing didn't exist back then. Nobody had done one at that point. None of the parts, not even the shaved down output shaft to do it into the stock case. None of that stuff even existed. Had it existed back then, I probably would have, or hopefully would have ponied up and talked myself into doing it, because I could probably do 2 ADE swaps with as much as I've spent in 700 R4s. I would rebuild them myself now. I've got a couple under my belt, so I would probably do them. But
my pride wouldn't let
cheaper when you're not paying somebody else to do the labor. But even just to rebuild them, waste of time, I'd still just do an ADE right out the gate. As far as my best bang for the buck mod, it's hands down for me 12 for quick ratio steering box, whether you get the DQ8 box or I pulled mine. It's a YA alpha code out of a G-body car. And at the time when Mike Renz was doing his steering shaft group purchases all back in the day, I don't remember, was that 2004 or 03? I did all that at once, got the steering box, got Renz's shaft, and put all that in at once, and that woke that sucker up. I mean, it almost felt like it had a rack and pinion at that point. And I'd go back to driving a truck that didn't have that. It was all stock, and I mean, it felt like you were driving like a 59 Cadillac or a Mack truck or something like that. It that hands down is not only reasonably priced mod. You can do it in a day, and it really wakes up the truck as far as handling, steering, all that stuff, and makes it way more comfortable to drive. You're not, even if you're sawing on the steering wheel a little bit because you got some fat tires on the front or staggered setup and the road's pulling you over the place, it's way more pleasurable to drive with that steering shaft and quick ratio box on it. So that's my best bang for the buck mod for sure.
I have to agree, because I too also have Renz's shaft.
Yeah, Renz's shaft is great.
You got it right.
Long and black.
Nice.
You got a knuckle in it.
Deletes the rag joint and replaces it with a moose knuckle. But yeah, I mean, I remember putting that in and, you know, being completely, you almost had to relearn how to drive the truck. It was such a drastic change. I would have to basically put that as my best bang for your buck mod. I mean, there's other ones that are maintenance upgrades that are obviously reasonable, fuel pumps and, you know, other stuff that we have talked about. ADE, if you consider the cost of that bang for your buck, I mean, yeah, you're not going to have to do it a whole lot once you throw it in there. So it'll save you money in the long run, but you got to pony up a lot in the beginning. So, Mr. Thomas Mandrov, what
way better
mods?
transmissions, that's for sure.
First mods. The first things the first thing I did was a tune-up. I mean, I don't think it counts as a mod, but it was. And to this day, I can't believe how many trucks we find with the wrong plugs and the wrong wires and shit in them. Silicone vacuum line kit. What's that?
Did Bubba work on it?
No. I can only imagine what's in his.
And my truck, when I bought it, had split fires in it.
Sweet.
Silicone vacuum line kit. I guess it's a mod, but man, it was like the thing to do to make it run right. I was all about making it run right first, and then lowering. They already had an exhaust on it, so I did the tune-up kit, lowered it, and intercooler, hot wired the intercooler, put fans on the intercooler, and gauges. We kind of did that all at once. And I daily drove it. So those are the first mods I did. Best mod. All the mods you guys said are exactly how I like to do them now, and the one I will add is the coilover front suspension. it's like night and day difference. And even the ones we build for the shop, it's like back in the day it was all, build the motor, do bigger turbo and stuff. And now we almost crave doing the coilovers and brakes first, just because, like you said, Morgan, once you do the coilovers, then you do we end up doing the box and the steering at the same time. And then you do the brakes, and then you drive a truck that doesn't have those things, and it's like, what the hell is this? How did we drive unmodded stock trucks with stock brakes, stock steering, stock shocks, and with Bilsteins, they're all right, but you put some KYBs or some cheap crap in there, and it's just like awful, just awful compared to what's out there now. So I'd have to say the coilovers. I love the coilovers.
I will say that was my fourth mod, was coilover kit. It was PEP.
Wow.
Yeah, I was actually the second kit. I tell you that back, there was a guy down in Florida that was the prototype for that whole kit. I can't remember his name now, but I think he went.
Harmon. What was that guy's name? Harmon. Harmon
Dennis?
No, it was Sandman or something. That's what he went by on the forum, if I remember. I think he was a dentist.
Yeah.
His name was Dennis.
Was it?
And he was a dentist.
Yeah.
And Sandman was the doctor with the Syclone with the first prototype on it.
Yeah. He had the prototype, and then me and Waller had flown to Chicago to rebuild a transmission in Green's red-gray Typhoon back in the day. And we both placed a phone call together, me and Green. So Green had the first public kit, and I had the second one. And it was the most ill-fitting thing I have ever done. And I remember thinking, like, this is just it. This is just the growing pains, This is what it's about. And then find out it fit like shit.
I have the prototype.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it's in my truck.
I eventually pulled mine off and sold it to Goodhue, I think.
Did yours have Heim joints?
Yeah.
They all did.
Mine don't.
Yeah, mine did.
Yours does. Doesn't it?
No.
I remember I broke 4 shocks.
In the front?
I got on a first name basis with Bilstein because it kept the interference with the CV shaft. The bottom of the shock, the way he had the shock inverted, it would break the very end of the shock rod. And I went through 4 shocks, and finally I was like, this is just engineered wrong. I can't do anything about it. And the coil spring was massive. And I remember that was a big thing when Tom and Jeff and all of them started making kits. It was like, it's a smaller diameter coil spring. And I was like, God, I wish I'd had that on that kit, because that thing was a nightmare.
It's so weird because it doesn't have the Heim joints on the front at all. It actually looks exactly identical to the JSM and the Sports Machines ones. And it's
just welded in.
It's got the plates welded in with the ball joints that bolt in. It's so weird because it is the very first one. It is Sandman's old truck.
Yeah. I think, wasn't Dustin's before?
Yeah.
I had a deposit on a Dustin set, and then I ended up not ordering it, and then that whole thing fell apart.
Yeah. He had Heim joints in his kit, I think.
He did. I even had remember the Heimed tie rod ends he made?
Yeah.
I had a set of those.
Oh boy.
I'm kind of looking through everybody's comments here, and I'm seeing like
I just did that as well.
adjustable fuel pressure regulator, LS swap, of course.
Well,
Yeah,
let,
I started up at the top.
let me wrap mine up by saying the mod I'd do now if I was new. Same like you guys said, I'd do the turbo tube ship, but I would add the Scanmaster G gauge.
Absolutely.
I run them in our dailies and the shop trucks, and it's so great to have that all at your fingertips. I mean, and we tuned a lot of trucks on code 59. One of my trucks has a fast, two of the trucks have Hollies in them, and for a stock drivable truck, that turbo tweak with the Scanmaster G gauge is awesome.
What in the hell's code 59?
Yeah.
I remember some milestones, like when wide bands became available. I remember that was that was a big deal for me. It was like,
huge.
You can actually see what we're doing now. But yeah, I totally agree. If you can't monitor stuff and a chip, that's where it's at.
I remember Dig at national events clipping on the wideband 02 on people's trucks and going out tuning for them, like in the parking lot and stuff.
Yeah.
I miss Big.
Yeah, I remember, dude, when wideband came around, it was like mind blowing to everyone. It was like, oh my God, like we can tune.
It was like, oh my God, my truck's running 13-1 at wide open throttle.
Kaboom!
Oh my God, why don't I see any knock counts? Oh wait, I got a Kenny Beller ATR chip. Shit.
the ATR chip was good.
Uh,
It was
The strip chip?
I don't know, the Pitbull, whatever the hell it was. It was the Hypertech.
Hyper boom.
Yeah,
Well-
the Hypertech and the Kenny Bell were the ones I think that dropped the knock count down on it.
They didn't drop the knockout. They took them out completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love my ATR chip. That's what's in my ECM right now. That's in my white truck.
Here's old school for you. Matt Shapiro Ultimate 10-in-1 chip.
Oh,
Yeah, I had that for
I
a
had
little while.
one from Todd back in. I got it secondhand in like '98.
Dude,
One of the original ones.
One of the original big boxes.
No, this was small. This was almost like a select chip thing. It was tiny.
yeah.
I had the big box with the LCD screen.
Yes.
you know what? If people want to see, like, some of the new people want to see some of this old school stuff, I've saved some of this shit. And I know you guys have too, like Prom Pack.
Yep.
And the 10-1 chip
Brand
and
new
some
one
of
of
the
those.
old school mods. I saved them because it's like I can't throw this out. Like, this is just hilarious. Looking back, it's hilarious. Like, I have to keep this because of why did we think this was so fucking cool?
Yeah.
It was it.
Oh man, I remember when Brian made me an Ultimate, and I was like, "This shit's crazy, man! You got a screen that actually says something on it."
Yeah, T1,
So does my microwave.
And the screen was shifting down on mine, so it looked like it fit like absolute crap. And the ribbon cable was rainbow. I mean, I was like, damn. Looking back now, I'm like, I would not have done that.
And it had the key and all that. I mean,
Had the lockout key with valet mode.
Yeah.
My valet mode didn't work. I tried it one time, and the dude was like, whoosh. That sounded like 15 psi.
But if people want to see some of the old school stuff, we should do like a show and tell on one of these podcasts. Let's look back through the history of some of this stuff that existed, because it's hilarious how antiquated. You know, and the thing that blows my mind is, because people, what do you do now, and all these new mods and tech and stuff, and it's like it didn't exist 5 years ago. Some of the stuff, and people are like, well, why you guys always talk about these trucks being so fast and da-da. I'm like, because back in the day, with some of these mods, that they went as fast as they did with the design flaws and the suspensions and the tuning that was so wacky. It's almost impressive that they did what they did. The trannies, all this shit, like, it's incredible.
Yeah, and Tom, I know you know this, but like when you get a truck that hasn't been touched in a decade and a half, and it comes in and it's got like underdrive pulleys and shit like that, and you're like, oh man, this was a catalog truck from back in the day.
Yeah, we get the guys that are like, oh man, it's pretty good. I mean, I got all the stuff from ATR and Kenny Bell, and I'm just like, oh, can't wait to take all that off.
Yeah.
It's a mod that I don't see very much anymore that I always thought was awesome. Auxiliary intercooler. Like, that fell out of existence.
I think availability is probably a little bit of it. I know
it was so easy to get. Like, you could AutoZone and get a cooler mount. It was just a transmission cooler that you could get for an RV, and you just hose it in, and you got like an extra 2 quarts of fluid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had one on the Typhoon I bought. I had one, and I yanked it off because meth was a thing at that point, and it was like, man, I'm just going to yank this and spray meth.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I ran it for the longest time, and it was awesome because you got more capacity. It was ram air cooling, and eventually, when I swapped out to go to air, I looked at it and went, well, shit. I'm not going to dismount it. I'm going to actually use it for a transmission cooler now. So I just converted mine, and I now have mine as a transmission cooler. So I have a massive transmission cooler instead of my auxiliary intercooler.
Yeah, I've with our the new lower intercooler, our bigger lower intercooler, the all aluminum. the temps are great, but I'm actually the other day I was just driving because it's in the 90s up here, finally, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take one of those because I have a pile of them, and I'm like, I'm gonna take one of the old ones and plumb that in with ours and see how much more the temps will drop or how much effect that'll have, because I bet you it's significant. I mean, our intercooler drops them like quite a bit, and the recovery rate's faster. But I'm like, man, if we added some more capacity and had one behind the grill, I bet you it'd be even better. And I've been wanting to do it to the base truck just to see what it does.
Yeah, I'm surprised that. I mean, it's just kind of one of those mods that like almost got forgotten about and to the wayside. I'm like, man, like everyone's like wondering how they can get better cooling off the intercooler. It's like, man, do the old school auxiliary intercooler. It's so easy to do, and you get more capacity and better cooling. It's rad. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
Services such as AOL, but you probably.
I will say this: you're talking about capacity. This one's weird, but we had a parts store. A lot of people don't know this, but we owned a parts store for about 15 years.
They were gonna
Hug parts.
Yeah, and Gates Hydraulics came and put a hydraulic hose machine in. We made hydraulic hoses for a long time. But anyway, the guy came and he said, "Do you have a hose you want to make?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm relocating my transmission cooler to the rear of the truck with a fan." I said, "Let's make some hydraulic hoses for that." A feed. He was doing it for free, so I was like, "Maybe a feed in return for that." He made it out of 5/8 hose, and he was all the way to the back, all the way back up. It added 4 quarts of capacity, and without a fan on the cooler, the thing still runs like 135 degrees.
Holy shit!
It's insane how big of a difference it makes, because it's just the radiant heat dissipation from those lines.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay, quick question, and y'all don't have to go into detail, but other than wheels, aesthetic mod, what's your favorite?
You just took my
That's an easy one.
That's like my thing.
That was his finishing
I
move.
totally missed the question. What was it?
Well, everybody's answer, the first answer is Sport Machine wheels. So your number 2 aesthetic mod, other than Sport Machine's wheels.
My fender scoop.
Mine is intercooler scoop. It changed the whole look of the truck to me, having an actual hard intercooler scoop at the bottom.
My front splitter.
Full carbon fiber clip and carbon fiber tailgate and carbon fiber dash.
I'm glad we let money bags go last.
Hey, that truck weighed 2,800 pounds. Get her done.
With you in it?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
impressive.
I think so. I don't know. I went on the garbage scale.
You miss
We take most of the Cyclones, right? Or 92
How much
Typhoon.
to get for scrap?
You just load all the 92 ties on there, you're good to go.
Oh no, he went there.
I'm trying to scroll through other people's. Obviously, a lot of people are like jack stands and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm skipping all that. Mike Woznicki posted boost gauge. Obviously, that kind of tailors to what Tom was saying before about just being able to read any data you're getting from your truck. Tom or Adam, I believe you also mentioned hot wire intercooler pump.
Yep.
That's
old school there. That's majorly old school.
Yeah, and that's best bang for your buck. All you need is a Scotch lock clip if you can't solder and heat shrink it back together.
It's actually,
And it goes without saying, if anybody's listening, we're talking more about mods beyond the foundation mods. So like you get a new truck and it doesn't have anything done to it. It needs a tune up. It probably needs a fuel pump. It probably needs an intercooler pump. It probably needs a fuel pressure regulator, all this stuff. That's not what we're talking about.
Wall bros.
ripping out the metal intercooler lines and doing 3/4 inch hose.
Yep.
Yeah, did that.
I mean, but that was all like, to me, that was like usual maintenance, everyday reliability kind of crap, just for, even the swapping out the metal lines. It wasn't so much reliability. It was to be able to take off your intercooler and flip it over and move it so you can work more in the engine. Because with the metal lines, you can't do that with the intercooler.
They never have to refill it. You could just move it to the side, do what you need to do, and bolt it back on. It's great.
Done.
Oh, you know what the best mod I did? It was like super horsepower, man. It was badass.
You did a Kenny Bell throttle by a foil.
No,
12 cam.
Tornado air.
airfoil
Yep.
added me like 40 horsepower.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna admit it. I have one in my throttle body right now in my truck that I put in years ago, and I always forget that it's in there, but it's in there. I mean,
it can't hurt, right?
40 horse.
So
Helps
It
to
ain't.
move the air.
Just looking through the list that everybody's been posting up, Josh Decker posted, replace the factory turbo, crossover, and turbo. Not so much the turbo. I mean, obviously it's still doing its job, or if it is doing its job, but the crossover, at this point, everybody should be aware that they can crack and, they can take out your turbo. So if anything, at least inspect it. And I don't know, Tom, is there any way to, reinforce it or make it last longer, or you basically just got to be careful with it, cross your fingers?
Got to be really careful with it. If you do have a crack, you can, sand it clean and use a really good high temp epoxy, to bond it back together. And I mean, it's just an intake tube. It's just got to be held in place. 90% of the time, somebody's unfamiliar with the trucks, over tightens the hose clamp,
Right.
and cracks it. That's actually why we created the Batmo wheel. It was because we were running out of stock turbo wheels. You couldn't get the Mitsubishi ones anymore. We were running out of good turbos to take them out of, and we needed a replacement because that's how many come in damaged. That's how many we'd see damaged, and it's just simply from being slightly over tightened. Literally, you could put none of those clamps on there, and it'd be fine. It just to hold it in place. And guys get on there, and they start using nut drivers. It's like, nope, you just need to put it on. That's it. But people unfamiliar, people not knowing how fragile they are, because they're just tremendously fragile.
You take a little hairspray, put it on the coupling there, stick it on while it's wet, it dries up, good to go.
Yep, pretty much, because there's no pressure on that side, so you don't have to clamp her down.
Nope,
So,
just it does a lot of sucking.
And I will also attest that you don't even need the crossover tube or a screen. And people look at my turbos in the trucks and they're like, "How do you run this thing open?" And it's like there's so much stuff in the way. The old camo shop truck. I daily drove that thing for 3 years with no filter on it, and it was 100% fine. And we did it as ate it for testing and be precautionary. There's the tubes are so hard to get, in decent shape or savable shape that we just got rid of it.
But I like the screen you gave me.
Well, yeah, when the bigger turbos, the turbo guards do a great job.
Those things are epic.
And it works great on the larger mouth turbos. I mean that's one you just got a 3-inch inlet, so you kind of need that.
Excuse me.
Nice, Harmon. But no. So that's what I got to say about the crossover tubes. Actually, I was going to show you guys something new if you want to see it. Shameless plug / mod. Hold on one second.
Good get that. Just looking back through this again, in the meantime, Andrew Tomasi posted first mod was EGR delete. That's kind of another one of those old school mods that was simple enough back in the day. I remember when everybody was using steel block off plates before the nice billet machined ones came out with recessed Allen head screws and all that other stuff. That kind of goes along with the hot wire and the pump and
We get fancy.
and all that other stuff. Yeah, everybody had to, take the next step and make a fancy block off plate. That's another one of those do it in a couple minute type mods. I mean, it doesn't take much to pop the EGR off and plug a line. And then I know that a lot of guys took it the step further, and then when they would have the plenum off, they'd go plug it all the way down in the bottom intake if they had the plenum out of the way. That way you didn't have any exhaust gases getting up into the plenum.
I just welded mine.
Yeah.
Or you can do that.
You guys remember how to fix the ABS light?
Unplug it.
Yes. That was the fix.
I was gonna say, what are you fixing?
It still is a fix. It still is.
Tan wire, unplug. Done.
So you're talking about appearance and stuff, and so rear glass handle. Can't get them anymore. Can't buy them. And anybody who's tried our the new latches to stop the squeak, that's had these spin on them.
Yep.
Well, we tried to solve that end of it, so we are starting to produce billet aluminum threaded replacements.
Nice.
Ooh.
And we did 2 versions. First one that we made, we modeled, and it's a little bit blockier than the factory one. I actually kind of like it because I think it fits the truck a little bit better.
Oh.
So we did that version, and then I said, well, let's go a little further and make it look more stock. So we have the side by side here.
Wow.
And you can powder coat that too, I guess. And
I can have Kiss My Ass milled in it.
You can mill whatever you want in it, but that way, guys don't have to worry about their threads spinning or anything else in it. And there is no replacement. GM doesn't carry them anymore. Nobody makes one. And I know a lot of guys had the issue of theirs spinning or, the threads, breaking and not having an alternative. So, and this will use the factory gasket, the factory spacer, and the original posts or our new hoop. So that way it's a direct replacement. And we've got one on the truck right now. We powder coated it black, and you can't tell until you touch it. And you're like, oh, wait, that's way heavier and nicer than the stock one. It's not plastic. And it's like, nope, it's billet.
I
you
want
gonna
to
make any carbon fiber ones in the future? Or?
Can I touch
I
it?
haven't thought about that. We were trying to get these finalized and get them, as close to original as possible so people could use it as an original replacement. But not out of the realm of possibility.
If
So
I
can
buy
order one right now?
What's that?
Can I order one right now?
Maybe.
All right.
if I buy one, do I get a free Typhoon with it?
You know what? We could probably do a Typhoon engraved on the back of it.
That would be epic.
Can you do Rockford racecraft on it?
I don't know why you would want to, but if you're so inclined,
High Park guy, right?
I'm asking for a friend.
If that makes it pinky hard, get right on it.
That's awesome. That's wow. I guess everyone who's tuned in right now just got to see something for the first time that Port Machine's coming out with. That's awesome, Tom. I mean, that really is. It's cool.
Yeah, definitely solves an issue.
Ask you a question.
I've only been able to save 1 or 2 of the original handles, and they came off either low mileage trucks or trucks that were from not rusty states.
Yeah, the rusty state trucks, like we did. Actually, where it came, it was an idea to try to scavenge as many as we could because we were needing them for customer vehicles. And when we did we were at the Buffalo meet when we first came out with the new stainless hoops and plates. And I said, you know what? If you buy one here this weekend, I'll even install it for you. Well, we did a couple trucks, and then the next truck started to spin. And then somebody had extra glass, so they ended up swapping the glass just to be able to get the handle off. Then the next guy was fine, and the next guy after that, they're spun. And then it was like every other truck, they couldn't get it off. But you didn't want to break it because you couldn't get a handle. So I was like, we should probably look into this. And then fast forward a year, and it was like, you know what, let's make that thing.
Speaking of glass and mods, I do need a wiperless glass. That handle would look really sexy on it.
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
Well, you're a glass guy.
You can still buy them. You can still get them new. They're expensive, but you can get them.
Which doesn't make any sense because it's the cheapest low buck window that they put in the trucks.
It is, but for some reason they're really proud of them. So
I got one in my white truck. I don't know if I'm going to transfer it to the Garnet or not. I might for a little while, but I'll keep the original one just on hand. But
I have a few of them squirreled away. I think I got like 5 or 6. But the other problem is that most of them came in trucks that were used, so a lot of them have scratches in them. And if you put them on like a nice truck, it's you got scratches in the glass, and buffing the glass out to get the scratches out is
Impossible.
It's so difficult.
Oh,
yeah,
scoot on up here. I see your little Grom. Hey, little Grom. Hey, little guy. How you doing? Hey, are the wheels on it yet?
Oh yeah.
I can't see the wheels.
Carbon fiber wheels.
Hood's face is in the way. Nice. So we need some carbon fiber SyTy wheels.
Let me see if I can connect with Christian von Koenigsegg and see if he'd be willing to do some custom work for us.
Some $40,000 one-offs.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, cool. I mean, we kind of went over some first mod stuff. I think that was cool to hear everybody's different stories, and it was interesting to hear that everyone really had a different viewpoint of like first mods and what they think should be done to a truck. I mean, that was definitely cool to hear everyone. But anyways, moving forward, I know we got some events coming up. Tom, talk to us.
All right, upcoming events. If you guys want to get out and be more active in the community, there's nothing better than meeting some of these people and showing your truck off and getting together and making these events bigger and bigger. Coming up in the next couple weeks, there's the Buffalo SyTy meet. It's in Otto Springville, New York. Gary and Noel Linder graciously have hosted it for this is the 4th annual. It's a weekend event, Friday through Sunday. There's always a good group of trucks, but there's just an even better group of people that just hang out, have a good time, talk trucks, shoot things, blow things up, have huge bonfires, and then they usually bring or buy a vehicle to do stuff with, like blow up tires and then put tannerite in. So it's always a great time. That's June 5th.
Never do that ever. No.
June 15th, 16th, and 17th. So it's coming up quick. There's posts of it on the Registry Facebook page. So give it a look, and if you're anywhere in the area, come out to that. The next event after that is the Midwest SyTy meet. Guys out in the Chicago area have been doing this meet. I think this is the 3rd year. Good group of guys out there. Good number of trucks. It's in Volo, Illinois, and that's June 23rd. I think they have activities going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but the big day for that meet is Saturday, June 23rd. And then after that, there's SyTys at Carlisle, August 3rd through the 5th at the Carlisle Fairgrounds during Carlisle Truck Nationals. Last year, we had 55 SyTys there at one point. This year, obviously, we're shooting for more, and it's shaping up pretty well. So we'll be putting out more details about that. And there's going to be some changes to that. We're going to have the Clingers cater a dinner on Saturday night at the fairgrounds in Building Y. So we're all together with the trucks on that Saturday night, and there's going to be some other changes to the schedule, but I'm hoping this year is going to be even bigger than the last one. So get some of these meets on your calendar and make it out to the ones you can.
All right, good to know. As far as any other information you may need, obviously, if you're catching this podcast, I'm sure you've seen it somewhere either through Facebook or Instagram. Our Instagram handle is International SyTy Registry. Facebook is obviously SyTy Registry. The forum, SyTyRegistry.com, and the store and all that stuff is in there as well. Remember, for those of you that, are on Facebook and everything like that, the forum, it's still a valuable source to have. Your tech questions, all those things, if you're asking a tech question, it's possible that it's been asked before, but unfortunately those things all get lost in Facebook. It's not really the greatest platform to try and research and get tech stuff done. If you got a quick question that you need an answer for, then obviously it's a good platform for that. Facebook is almost kind of like the lounge for SyTy. And we also have our own ISTR off-topic section as well. So that's a spot where you want to go if you have things that are not SyTy related that you would like to sell, post up, chat about your other vehicles, all that stuff. As far as the forum goes, your project threads, things along those lines, and
post them up.
Anything else? What?
Post them up.
Yeah, post up your projects. The best thing you can do if you want tech stuff to be saved is to post a question on the forum and then link the forum post back to Facebook. and
guarantee
people
our
can read
forum
it
is
there
not-
and get a little cross reference going on. So
Searchable.
yeah, and it's searchable. So and it won't get lost and buried under what spark plug should I use and whatever else that gets asked 4,000 times a day, or all that other garbage. So unfortunately, Facebook is very valuable for some things. Tech stuff really isn't the place for it. So sign up on the forum if you haven't already. If you are, or if you purchased a membership, whether it be premium or otherwise, sign up on the forum because there is valuable information. And also give us your forum name when you do purchase memberships one way or the other. And if you haven't purchased a membership, think about it. And there was one other thing I wanted to think of. I can't think of it right now that I wanted to chime in on, but if it pops into my head before we close out of here, I'll let you know.
Is your beer empty?
Mine?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. It's got some in there.
All right, drink that shit. Cheers. Lance Ingersoll says this shit's awesome.
All right, Harmon, take us
He's
out.
It is awesome.
It is awesome.
Take us out of here, Harmon.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. On our next adventure, we were going to the strip club where all of us are going to be having a live chat. Not really, but it sounded good.
That's pretty good to do over 4 states.
Yeah. Can we visit them all at once in 4 states? I'll go to one. You guys go to another, and we'll all do it live. So basically, it'll be like different colors flashing in the black.
You're not even allowed to take a cell phone into a strip club in New Jersey. There's no way I'm walking in with a laptop and a camera.
Plus, where's Adam going to put all those damn AOL discs?
His backpack, obviously. Come on, Hood.
Do they fit well in G-strings? You just flip them up there like Frisbees.
This one's spent.
Hey, girl.
Make it
It'll be
rain.
like-
AOL discs.
Yeah, it'll be like the Oprah of AOL.
Wind up killing somebody.
We were doing so well in the outro. We just,
Ruined it.
Guys, thank you, everybody. We appreciate
All right,
it.
till episode 3. We have no idea what it's going to be yet. So
but we'll see you in 2 weeks.
ISTR. Yeah.
later.
Night.